Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round and round.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
And hi, everyone.
It's another pod party.
Yeah, I feel like we just got together.
I know. Instead of an end-of-year pod party, it's a start of 2025 pod party.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
We are going to go through our 2024 full year expenses with all of the co-hosts for the first time ever because, hi, Erica.
Oh, hey, guys.
Special welcome to Erica.
Yeah,
Special.
welcome to the party.
Erica's new to tracking expenses, and so she's new to the expense tracking episode. So welcome, Erica.
Thank you, Liz.
Welcome, Erica.
And it's actually exciting because not only do we have all 5 co-hosts on, I think you two are one because you're in one box together. But we all also are using the same tool to track our expenses.
For the first time. This is our,
Yeah.
we all have a full calendar year of Monarch under our belt. We are not sponsored by Monarch. We have no formal affiliation with them other than they sent us some hoodies.
Which I like a lot.
The other co-hosts would welcome hoodies.
I was just going to
Same.
say
Yeah.
the other co-hosts would love a hoodie, and that's a 2025 goal.
And if you guys get them, you'll have the new logo. So there is that,
sweet.
right?
Yeah.
And then Maggie and I'll be just looking on. It's like when
Vintage.
the new model of a car comes out and you're like, well, now I have the old one. So, yeah.
Wait, back up, Maggie. Are you going to make this a goal to get the hoodies for us?
Yeah, I'm going to do
Okay,
it for
okay,
you,
thank
just
you.
to be clear.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I wasn't delegating it to you.
Okay, thanks. Because I tried this approach to get merch for my favorite cottage cheese brand for a friend and me, and they're like, we are a small... we're
First
like,
off, the fact that you just said favorite cottage cheese brand,
Back off.
we're going to need
Back
to like
off.
double click on later. I'm
Listen.
not knocking it. I want to know
They were
more
like-
about it, but we don't have time for it today.
We don't have they were like, we don't sell merch. We're a small company. We love that you're a fan. Can we send you stickers? And I was like, yes, please. I will
That'll
take what I
work.
can get.
I love it. Well, like Liz
amazing.
told me, you could make your own merch, you know.
You could just do an iron-on
Yeah.
transfer. Get the printout paper from Michael's.
Real quick, a shout out. Who is your favorite cottage cheese brand?
Oh, good culture.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, we're going to jump in.
Full fat,
Like Liz said,
good culture.
What'd you say?
Full fat, good culture.
Good
Not
culture. I
low
like
fat.
it. Okay.
Well, I
That's the
can't wait to
idea.
hear how much money you spent on cottage cheese.
Yeah, that
this
sounds
year.
expensive, actually.
I wait.
so.
Yeah. Well, I've got my ways. Okay.
Okay, so full year on Monarch. So we've got like we're looking at the same data set here. We're gonna just jump right in. We're all gonna share how much we spent for the year, and then some top categories, top merchants of like who we spent the most money with. And yeah, we're gonna try to get through this. Here we go, guys. So let's start with how much just overall we all spent. And we're all removing our mortgage. Andrew, myself and Greg, who's my husband here, don't have a mortgage. It's paid off. Andrew's mortgage is also paid off. Liz and Erica have removed their mortgages, so we've got more comparable numbers to look at here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just so it's apples to apples.
Liz, why don't you tell us what you spent? Drum roll.
I thought I was going to be under 100K, but we were just over at $102,000 and wait, how do I say this? $102,067.
Okay.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. Good job. Well done. Well, I thought we might actually be, I think we're like normally under you, Liz. Don't we spend less than you
Yeah,
typically?
you
no.
usually spend less than I do.
This year we blew it out of the park. So we spent $135,490. Though I will say, I did just realize earlier today that includes our medical care, like our medical insurance cost, which you guys are not including because it's coming out of your paycheck.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm just, in case people are curious, I'm going to pull that number out for a moment and then say that we actually, with that number removed, spent $121,409.
That's
So
pretty good.
you can just think of it, that's probably a more apples to apples number.
Mine would go from 102 to 103. Because I have very generous employer-sponsored health coverage. But
Really lovely.
I'm sorry to brag. Sorry to flex.
Okay, Andrew, what you got?
Ooh, this is a big one. We spent $237,000 in 2024.
What?
But stay tuned to find out how Andrew, who's usually the least,
I went
spends
from
the least. Yeah.
last to first.
Yeah. Which again, we're not sure first is actually. You might have gone from first
Yeah.
to last.
Well,
We're not sure
no.
that you get a-
Last episode we talked about how our goal should be who can spend the most money,
Oh, yeah.
not who can spend the
For
least.
you, we need to spend less now.
Yeah, like half joking.
Erica, where you at?
So without a mortgage, we're at 122,000.
Okay, very nice.
Very solid.
Very
Wait,
similar
am
to
I the
Maggie.
lowest?
Yes, Liz. We have a complete flip flop here.
That never happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah.
I
good
have some
work.
questions about how. Let me just ask you one question. I'm curious. Did you adjust your spending at all this year due to job loss of your partner, which you've talked about a lot on social?
Yeah, I don't think I did consciously. So 2024 was like a really chaotic year. For one, we were a one-income household for most of the year. I think most of the lowered spending was actually because of all of the health issues. So my partner was like, had a pretty major surgery, was in the hospital, had kind of a long recovery. And I think that was more. We were just home, not doing fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
What about inside out money peer pressure?
I think I talked about this last year because I was almost like I had a shot at being lower than Maggie last year, and so I almost didn't take a vacation because I was like, oh, I could save that 5,000, and then I was like, that is the dumbest reason to not go on a vacation.
Yeah, I agree. I would have been pro vacation. Okay, well, while we're on you, Liz, why don't you jump in and give us a breakdown of the 102? Quite impressive. That's kind of where I want to be, is right around 100 in a perfect world.
Okay, all right. Well, allow me to take some notes.
Teach me,
Because
yeah. Show me how you do
we
it.
got there. I will run through our top categories from like highest spending on down. Our biggest category was food, $18,000 total. I just posted an episode on Liz Gets Loaded about how that broke down. Our grocery spending was up 50% from the year before, in part because of all the chaos I mentioned. We did a lot of pre-made meals, and it was more expensive, and it was convenient, and I have no regrets.
I'm going to throw inflation. I don't mean to like point to it, but that's a legit area where like things are just more expensive also.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of it was inflation, and I know our habits, and I know it was having pre-made meals delivered in a cooler to our front porch. But I mean, it's fine. Our next biggest category was charity at $12,000 for the year. I try to do $1,000 a month. And medical was the next one. Like I said, we very easily hit our out-of-pocket max, and then some with some other costs that weren't covered by insurance. So $11,000. I like to think of it in terms of the monthly amount. It just helps me wrap my brain around it. So it averages out to about $900 a month. And again, spending a week in the ICU will run up that bill pretty quickly. The next one for us, we paid off our car. So we bought a car last year, took out a loan on it, and had always planned on paying it off relatively quickly. So we paid off almost $10,000, a little more than $800 a month. It would average out to, but we just paid it off in January. Travel was a little lower than our travel cost usually is. It was about $8,000. That averages to about $660 a month. It was 5 trips, 1 funeral, 1 week in San Diego, a weekend in New York City when I went to the Peloton studios, which was a big highlight, and then 2 road trips, which tend to be on the less expensive end. And then I think we also did a good amount of using miles for flights and got to stay with friends instead of staying in hotels, that kind of thing. So like 5 trips for $8,000 seems really, I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's very impressive, I think.
And okay, our next biggest category was utilities at about $6,000. That works out to about $500 a month. And that's everything. So gas, electric, trash, water, internet, streaming services, cell phone service. I dumped that all into utilities. Our next biggest category was our house cleaners, $5,720. It worked out to about $476 a month, but we pay $220 and they come every other week. Driving was a big one for us. I couldn't believe how much we spent, considering that doesn't include a car payment or
Yeah.
gas because we have an EV. We spent $5,200 on what I call driving. So that's like tolls, parking. The biggest piece is car insurance. And then we spent another $3,600 on car repair. So that's almost $900 a month.
And you have one car, right?
One car.
Wow.
I know. It adds up.
Yeah. Well, the insurance must be a big piece of that. And then Carmen Electra is just expensive to maintain.
Yeah. The insurance I want to say is like $3,000 a year, something like that.
Okay.
Carmen Electra is Liz's car's
yes.
name, by the
Her
way.
Audi e-tron.
That's her name. Yeah, and then I don't even remember what happened because it was while my partner was in the hospital, but she started making a weird noise, and it ended up being more than $3,000. I think it was something with the transmission. I don't know, but anyways, last couple. Our lawn company charges so much money. It was almost $4,000. It was $3,800. It works out to about $3 something a month. And they don't do a good job, and they're also very expensive. And I am not a fan. One of my goals for 2025 is to get a new lawn care service.
I was just going to ask that because I was like, it feels like that's not a good fit.
Right, exactly. And then, electronics was about $3,200, and we this felt like about average to us. So I got a new phone. I bought a used phone, so it was around $1,000. We bought 3 pairs of AirPods, so one for each of us, and then I lost mine and had to buy another pair. That was about $600 total. We both got Aura rings, which I love. So that was $1,000 for both of us. And then
Which was supposed to be 500.
I know it was supposed I had done all the research and I was going to go buy an Aura ring. And then I was like, do you want to come with me? And then we ended up buying 2 once we got to the store. And then I throw a couple other things. Do you put this in electronics? So cases, getting a phone screen repaired,
Yeah,
charging
we do,
cables,
yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything in the electronic domain.
Exactly. Anything adjacent. Okay, that's where I put there. I thought that was high, and then I looked at what we actually spent, and I was like, well, a new phone, some AirPods, and a new gadget. I mean, that seems reasonable to me. And then our last big bucket was live performances. We spent $2,300 on live performances. That works out to just under $200 a month. We actually bought some tickets for things that we didn't end up getting to go to because of the chaos and the health issues. But my goal in 2024, going into it, live performances is a really important category for me. I like spending money there. I like going to shows and lectures and plays and musicals. But I'm trying to just be less of a, I don't know the right word. I like to buy like front row seats. Like I like to buy the VIP package. I like to pay extra and for the nice parking and to skip the line and whatever. And I'm trying to just not be so.
Like, you want a more stoic experience?
You don't want to be as fancy?
Like, you want to walk further
Less
to get to
fancy.
your-
Less fancy?
Yeah,
Less fancy, comfortable being less fancy. I'm trying to rough it. And everything else was about $12,000, so about $1,000 a month. And that's like all the other stuff that didn't rise to a level of a top category. So Christmas, gifts for other people, pet stuff, pet food and vet visits, and the gym and haircuts and taking Ubers and Lyfts from time to time, that kind of thing.
So I'm just curious, like in Monarch, you break that down into categories. You just here, you're not like going to
Yes.
tell us, these like $400 categories, obviously.
Yes, I do break those down into categories in Monarch. I just didn't want to bore you.
Okay. Well, I would like a full detailed Monarch follow up, please.
Okay.
Just kidding. Okay.
I'll just add you as a user to
That would be helpful if I could have like full edit access.
I don't share enough about my finances online.
You're
Like, it just
podcasting
comes-
every day in January. It's not enough for me. I would like to, which, by the way, we'll put link. Liz is podcasting every day. You do a fun challenge every January, 31 days.
Yes, so if you want to hear a whole 20 minutes on what we spent on groceries or what we spent on literally anything, that would be great. So like we mentioned, this is the first full year for all of us using Monarch Money. And I am obsessed with the cash flow view. Okay, Maggie's nodding.
Same.
We're all nodding. Yeah, it's
Yep.
amazing. So if you have Monarch Money, if you go into cash flow and then you can choose monthly, quarterly, or yearly. And then under the year, I like to go the yearly view. And then you can see either by category, by group, or by merchant. So group would be like food, and then category would be like groceries, restaurants, coffee, whatever. And they have it by merchant. And I found this fascinating. I will stop myself from going into too much detail, but I was like, I know that I like to get a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's when I drive to work. That's like a treat that I give myself. I spent $123 at McDonald's last year. Like, I wouldn't have known that without Monarch money.
I really like that view for just drilling down to find mistakes and issues. So I used it as like my primary starting point, and then drill down to each category just to focus the transactions within a category as I was looking at things, and just found some things that were miscategorized and things like that. It's easy and quick to help find things.
Yeah, we did the same, and that was helpful.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting to click into each one and see. I was like, there's no way I spent $600 on clothes this year. And then I clicked into it and I was like, oh yeah, like I replaced those 2 pairs of shoes and I bought a belt and like, okay.
$600 feels low. Wait for it.
I agree.
Oh yeah, I think that's good.
No, I didn't even remember buying one new clothing. I was like, I think it should be 0, but anyways. So there was some I really like that view, and it also, there's a very well-known quote, right? Like, show me your budget and I'll show you what your values are. And so I thought it was really interesting to just kind of see the top places, right? Like, our number one place that we send money to is our mortgage company because I've apparently decided that I really value having a big, pretty house. And I thought I was doing really good this year. I thought I had really cut back on my Amazon spending, which I had. But in 2023, we spent about $5,500, or maybe it was $5,600, and in 2024 it was $3,605, and which is lower. But I was really surprised at that number. I was surprised that number was as high as it was, and so I just really like that view. Yeah, I like that view for just getting it. There were a lot of surprises in there for me, I will say, when I looked.
I will say, in case anyone at Monarch is listening, my one complaint about the cash flow view is, I don't think they are, by the way, but my one complaint, we should put this in because I think they do like take consumer feedback pretty seriously. Yeah. It's such a long view. Like, you have to, when you click some of the lower ones, you have to scroll way down to see the flow, and it should automatically like pull you down the screen, which is possible. Like, that's technically capable. It just doesn't function that way.
You're talking about like the Sankey diagram view?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Or is that not the view you're spending most of your time in?
No.
I use the bar chart view.
The one you were just in.
View.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's not actually the cash flow tab. It's under report spending.
No, it's under,
because the cash flow defaults to that what'd you call it?
Sankey diagram.
diagram.
No, I'm on a bar chart in cash flow. Cash flow year.
Oh, just click that. That's what. Oh,
you got to change from bar chart to Sankey. There's a toggle.
It defaults to Sankey.
On
ours, it does for some reason. Okay, I don't like that. Okay, I'm gonna play around.
Well, the
with this
Sankey
later.
view is nice in many ways.
It is. The Sankey view is just fun to look at, but I like the bar chart view for just the absolute self-indulgent navel gazing that I enjoy doing when I review my own spending. So, like, not to get too, I would say, again, I'm a person, the love that I have for Costco, I felt like was not reflected in how much, like, I spent less money at Costco than I did at Amazon, and I'm like, I gotta fix that next year.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known to look at it that way until it showed me a list of, like, here's every merchant, store, vendor that you spent money on and how many dollars you spent with them. So
yeah, well, I liked your show me your budget and I'll tell you your values. Is that the quote?
Yeah.
I like also show me your budget and I'll show you my budget. You know? Show me yours, I'll show you mine, which is what we're doing here.
That is great.
Anything else you want to highlight, Liz?
Well, you asked us to think about what's working well and what could be even better. I would say I'm so freaking excited after a couple of years of bananas. If you remember, like, our bat infestation. So we had some really high home repair bills, $500 this year. And I think we were similar last year. So knock on wood, I can't believe that was so low.
Yeah.
And then
the Knight household is very jealous of that number.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to yours. You had like 10 years worth of expenses. I was trying to find a cost I regretted. The only thing I could think of was we went to see Wicked, and not Wicked. Wicked was worth the money, but I spent $20 on a cheap glass of wine at the movie theater, and I was like, that was dumb. I knew it was going to be expensive, and then when he was like, that'll be $18, I almost just said, never mind, but then I didn't.
If your only regret is $20 or under, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you still drank the wine, right?
I did.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree. You're doing pretty good.
I know, but next time I was thinking about, I think you, Maggie, said that you snuck snacks into the movie theater. I never do that.
Well, I snuck snacks in. The ladies next to me pull out a full bottle of wine, uncork that thing, and have like plastic glasses. And I was like, I started talking to them because I was like, I think they were like embarrassed that they were doing it next to me. And I was like, no. Like, good for you, ladies. Like, enjoy your night. I love
That's
that you
amazing.
like no shame that there's like a full glass bottle of wine in there.
I mean,
I would have poured it into a water bottle first.
I feel like I would have brought like a little one. I wouldn't, that's bringing a corkscrew is, feels like
They have screw top
a
now, Liz.
commitment.
Come on.
That's
I mean,
true.
in fairness, it might have been a screw top. I just like heard the noise of like the wine open. I'm not really paying
nice.
attention, but it was like a whole production. They were not.
It
being
was a
discreet
bottle of
about it.
champagne, and it was like,
Popped me in the eye.
That is incredible. Well, one improvement I'm going to make to next year is, okay, I know we sound like an ad for Monarch Money, but we really do just love them. They have a really great tags feature, so I kind of want to start tagging things. Like maybe when I go out to restaurants, like, oh, this was just the two of us and this was dinner with friends, so I can kind of see where a more detailed view of how we're spending money. And one place I really want to do that is I want to track our medical expenses that were covered by insurance or went towards our deductible versus the ones that didn't. Because when I was looking at Monarch, I was like, oh, we've spent $7,000 or $8,000. We should be getting close to our out-of-pocket max. And I wasn't realizing that a lot of that was out-of-network things or shoes or supplies or stuff that's not covered by insurance. And so I'd like to have a better view into that. So I'm going to use Monarch for that. So
I like it. I also want to do tags more. I was thinking about it earlier today, and then I was like, man, Greg's gonna like not be happy with me because we already use tags for some other things, and if I just have to like triple tag things, it's not gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll make the cleanup less easy, but
It'll be fun though, right, babe?
he's like, but I love you. So I'll do it.
You could always veto me,
Well, that is how you live a very frugal year. So take notes, everyone.
I mean, I did want to point out that you also are a 2-person household.
Yeah, that's true. I should always have the lowest since we have the fewest humans, but
Also you can do lots of things that is harder for us to do. So I think you live a very intentional life and you spend money where it matters to you, which I think is what matters the most.
thank you. That's a kind thing to say.
Okay. Anyone else have anything kind they want to say to Liz? We'll move on.
I think we're good.
They're thinking about it. They don't have anything. Okay. So, Greg, shall we go?
So our total spend was $135,490. As Maggie already stated, that's without mortgage expense. We did have a one-time expense that makes this year a little unusual, and that was my share of the car that we purchased for our 16-year-old daughter. Her mother covered the other half. So without that expense, our total would have been $126,747.
And then, Greg, I did just do the math. If you also removed our medical insurance and that car, the half of that car, we would actually be at 112. Which I'm not saying that, like, to me, that's just interesting to know because when I think like, oh, this was such a high year, and I'm like, I just want to understand things. I'm not even like trying to beat myself up over it. But to me, it's helpful to say, okay, we've always thought we were going to be around the 100,000 range in retirement, maybe up to 120. So I was sort of a little like, ooh, 135 felt high.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel better to know that, when I start to even comparing that to other people's expenses is a little more comparable when we pull some stuff out.
And when we get to medical too, we'll touch on that, but hopefully this was an unusual year as far as the insurance cost. So that's why we're kind of pulling that out.
Yeah.
If that was in there every year, it would be just kind of leave it in there
I would
because
leave
that's
it in,
a normal expense. So,
Yeah.
All right, you want to hit our categories? Do you want to take the first one, Meg?
Yeah, our first one is home. And even though we have our mortgage paid off, somehow we have $28,391 in home expenses. And my summary of this is shit adds up and owning a home is expensive. So we had about $5,000 of some home repairs, like a new water heater, some plumbing stuff, some other things, almost like about like $4,000 in some furniture expenses, which we normally don't buy a lot of furniture. And I actually was inspired by you, Liz, in there was a year like last year or the year before when like you were kind of like getting some parts of your home to where you felt better about the home decor and things like that. So I bought a couple of what I'd call like investment pieces that I spent some like reasonable amounts of money on. And we bought a new mattress. And then our utilities were like $5,000. Our lawn service was like $1,700. Our homeowners insurance was $2,000. So it's like, I don't even, that $28,000 is one where I was like, what is this even adding up to? And it just adds up quickly. And then
I have a question.
Yeah.
What are Olympic chairs?
Oh, I bought on my birthday. We did like a Beltline day, one of our adventure days, which is like we just like walked on the Beltline and we drank a little bit when we're on it. So it was like my birthday. I was a little bit tipsy and I was at like a vintage Atlanta memorabilia store on the Beltline. Oh. And I bought 4 chairs from the Olympic Stadium.
That's very cool.
That's cool.
They're super cool. And they're in the carport because they're like outdoor chairs, but I don't know. You could put them in like a rec room.
They actually have the seal from the 96 Centennial Olympic Games, which is pretty neat.
It's like stamped into the
That's
chair.
cool.
And they're fun. And they're in the carport. And we kind of like, I've sat on them before. They're
fun,
a couple times. Yeah, they're fun.
You can look at them.
Yeah.
You can sit on them.
You can put stuff on them. I mean, they really serve so many purposes.
The kids set the volleyball. When I sell stuff on like or do stuff on Buy Nothing, I set my packages there for people to pick up. They're fun. They're a conversation piece. It was fun.
That's a flex.
It was
Yeah.
like
That's great.
Send
they were like
photos, I wanna
five.
see.
They were like $500. I'll send you a picture, Erica.
You could almost put your mattress in health costs because
I did put
it
the
fixed
sauna
your back, right?
We did buy a sauna, and I put the sauna in personal care for what it's worth.
I like it.
Okay,
So
you do
moving on, the next category was travel. That was 25,688. Interestingly, Liz, when you mentioned the merchant view, we did look at that under travel, and Airbnb was our largest category outside of insurance. And that was 12,000 just on Airbnbs. And, for that 25,688, we did nearly 3 weeks in Australia for 5. And
we lived it up. We weren't like being frugal when we were in Australia.
We had some very nice places that we stayed in. We did a lot of really cool activities. So activities were 4,425. We held koalas. We snorkeled on the Great Barrier Reef. We kayaked with dolphins. We did an Aboriginal tour. So we did spend a lot. And then under travel, we spent $4,200 on food when we were traveling. So also eating out a lot.
And we're unique. We track our food when we're traveling under travel. It just feels better to us and it's easier for us. But you could stick that in, again, you can. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter where you categorize all this stuff. I think it's just knowing where you spent it and feeling that you feel good about where your money's going.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a couple other trips in there. Spring break trip at the beach with our moms, and then did a cabin weekend.
Then we did a week in Phoenix. We did a bunch of other trips that are mixed in there too.
We did. And it's a lot, but it's also a category we, even leading up to retirement, said we wanted to spend a lot. And that was an important area for us.
Yeah, you guys want to lean in on that category.
Yeah.
So
Well, and it shows in your values, right? I mean, Airbnb was one of the places you spent the most money because that's like where you're leaning in on spending. I love that.
And it's hard for us to stay in hotels. It's just not comfortable. We're in different rooms. It's like a whole. We were just there for a volleyball tournament and with Greg's mom, and it's a whole different vibe when you're in an Airbnb with people than when you are in multiple different hotel rooms.
It is. Hotels for 2 are great. I enjoy it when it's just Maggie and I. When it's the whole family, Airbnbs make a huge difference.
Yeah. Back to the travel and it being intentional. I feel good about the 25,000 on travel. It's the 28 on home where I'm like, what the crap's going on? Like, we're supposed to that was like more than my mortgage was at one point when I had a mortgage. Okay. Speaking of categories that are high, medical was particularly high this year. We went ahead and put in our expenses, what we're going to have to pay back for medical insurance in our taxes. So we really wanted to show an accurate year of health insurance, which we will get no subsidy this year for 2 people. Our kids are covered on our ex's insurance. It's a lot cheaper for them to be covered there. For 2 people, we'll pay $14,000 in health insurance this year. That's with no subsidy. And we will not get, we had a subsidy, which we still got, but then halfway through the year, we decided to sell a rental property, which because of the size of the capital gains, we will lose all eligibility for subsidy. So we knew that was going to happen. And we've done some other things this year to, I did some stock sales and other stuff to kind of put everything that's going to like hurt our eligibility for subsidies into 1 year to optimize it as best as we could. If you are thinking about early retiring and you want to like use our estimate as two people, don't use our estimate because we are a very rare scenario in the sense that we get to claim some of our kids, but we're not paying for insurance for our kids because they're covered. I mean, some of our exes the kids are covered for no additional cost. And so yet our rate is cheaper because we still claim kids on our taxes, but they're not insured in our plan. And so I'd say in general, we have whole episodes on marketplace insurance and through healthcare.gov. And it takes like 5 minutes to go get an accurate estimate for your situation. So don't use our situation as your estimate, but that's what ours is based on the plan that we chose, which is not a high deductible plan. Outside of the cost of our health insurance, medical is just a lot of other stuff that adds up. Like Greg had his shoulder surgery this year and we hit our deductible. I had we both had colonoscopies, but like mine's not covered by insurance for various reasons and it's just more expensive. I did Nutrisense continuous glucose monitoring at the beginning of the year that I spent a lot of money on and I highly regret it. Might be helpful for some people, wasn't really that interesting or helpful to me. And we'd like, a part of a kid's braces paid for this year, therapy, kids and adults, an MRI. It's just like a lot of stuff that adds up. To me, when I look at our totals this year, there's so many things where I'm just like, wow, that is a lot of like $100 to $500 things that added up to $25,000. Mm-hmm. Next category.
So we will move through these last categories quickly. But the next category is kids. That was 21,636. That includes basically all kid-related expenses. The biggest of those being two of our kids are in volleyball, in club volleyball, so they're expensive dues and fees and equipment associated with that. There were school sports, summer camps. The car is in there that we mentioned earlier. Some new cell phones, some kids' clothing. So that's a pretty big one that will be less without the purchase of a car next year. And then the next category after that was food and dining at $14,177. That was groceries of $8,000 or roughly $666 per month. And then restaurants of $5.5K or $455 per month.
Yeah, and then again, if you really want to do like what we spent on food all year long, you could add that $14,000 to the $4,000 we spent in travel, and we're at about $18,000 full year for spending for food. Which, yeah, I'm gonna mix in like how we feel about some of this. Like, feel okay about it. We've been like eating out a little bit more and splurging and like taking the kids to Starbucks a lot lately, and I want to curb some of that, but I also like really enjoy it in many ways.
It's time with the family, right?
Yeah. There you go. It's family time. Thanks, Andrew.
And it adds up a lot when you have 5 humans.
Yeah. And like Starbucks is really expensive and my kids like it and it adds up.
I feel like even just when the two of us go out for like a burger or Mexican, like something casual, it's like $70 or $80.
Yeah.
Just for 2 people. Then
we have clothing, which we spent a lot on this year. This is like clothing and shoes. $4,721. 75% of this is me at clothing for me. So $3,542. And then Greg was $1,179. I don't even think I like kept clicking through the breakdown on this one because I know what this is. It's a lot of athleisure and Nike shoes and Hoka's. And I don't know. I feel like good about it, but I'm not going to spend as much next year. I'm very well clothed. I have enough pairs of leggings. Liz, when Minimalish Mom was saying she had like one pair of leggings.
She had one pair of leggings until last year. Can you believe?
Yeah. I could clothe all of us in leggings, so.
Same.
Okay, so anyways, we spent more than I'd like to on an average year in clothing. I'll put it that way.
I agree, even for myself. That number will be lower next year.
You're looking real good, Greg. Your fit's real nice lately.
Thanks.
That's a cute hoodie. Yeah.
Well,
is that a new?
He didn't buy this one this year, but
that was a 2023 purchase. But thank you.
But you should see the hoodies he bought this year. There's some new sweatshirts in the rotation this year.
Mostly crew necks, but
yeah, he's moving away from hoodies, and he's got a lot of new Nike shoes that are nice. Okay, moving on.
Our last few categories are auto and transport. At auto and transport was $46.30. Over half of that is car insurance, and then there was just some other miscellaneous car-related expenses in there. Number 8 was personal care at $4,144. The biggest one there is $2,000 on Asana, which we're very excited about, and I think that'll be a long-term investment in our health. And then some toiletries for $819. Last big category was shopping at $3,702. Of that, $3,335 was electronics. We had some new iPhones, both got new Apple Watches. I got a Meta Quest VR headset, and we got some sleep headphones, which we like a lot, and a new printer. So those were purchases that I think we would do again. I don't think we regret them, but hopefully next year we won't have to duplicate those.
Yeah, as far as clothing and electronics, we're like fully fitted for a few years. I think we can really bring those down in future years. And then we have gifts and donations, entertainment, life insurance, some like the cost of filing our taxes, a bunch of like little stuff after that. And I think we can wrap it up by saying, you know, the view that Liz was talking about on like total spend by vendor is very interesting. So Aetna was our largest one with that's insurance that we've talked about. Airbnb, we spent like $12,000 on. Our taxes are like $7,500, our property taxes, which I realize aren't in maybe Liz and Erica's numbers, because if you pay it in your mortgage, you wouldn't have it separately.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Like taxes are like $700 a month or close to that. Our 16-year-old's new car was the next biggest one. And then we spend like $5K on insurance across car insurance, homeowners insurance, et cetera. And then we had Costco. So Liz, our Costco was higher than our Amazon. I know that's the direction you want yours to be in, but barely. Costco was $4,900. In that was a sauna and a mattress. And then Amazon.
Oh yeah, because you're not a big like Costco you don't really do Costco for groceries.
I like Costco, but it's further away from us. So I only go to Costco when I have to go to the orthodontist, which was a lot this year, but I'll go less next year or this year. But Amazon was $4,500, which I don't feel good about. And it's not even like the whole thing with Amazon. Like that's one lens of it. It's actually just that a lot of Amazon are impulse purchases. They were things that I was like, had a passing thought I needed and then was like, oh, it's here tomorrow. And I just don't need to do that. I've already curbed that even in the first few weeks of January. So that is one of the biggest things I'd like to do better about, because I think that's probably more on me than you, Greg. I think I'd do more of that. So yeah.
That makes sense. Amazon, people have really complicated feelings about Amazon in a lot of ways, and I won't go fully down the rabbit hole. I actually feel like everything we bought from Amazon was maybe not a full necessity, but it's stuff like air filters and like vitamins. And I just think, I don't know if anybody else, in early pandemic days, somehow Amazon became like the only place I ever even thought to go to buy things. Like if I need something, I just pull out my phone and that's the only thing I look at. And I want to break that habit. I want to just not have it be the first option that I look at every single time.
Liz, that's why we canceled our Amazon Prime membership, to just have to think about where to get something else, or if we need it, like to what you and both Maggie are saying, like it's that impulse, like you just think like, oh, I can just get it here tomorrow. And it's just mindless shopping. And I'm not saying that in judgment of you two, because I was very, very much part of the problem. But I have noticed just by like eliminating the app that like I just don't think about it. You know, like if I need it, I'll drive somewhere to get it or go to a specific website for the thing. But I've tried to like make it deliberately more tedious for myself to acquire the thing that I'm looking for, to assess my level of commitment to it.
Yeah, you've put a barrier between the impulse and the decision, which I think is one of the best ways. Liz, we've talked about this on so many episodes. It's one of the best ways to spend not just less money, but just more intentionally. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we kind of covered like what we feel good about and what we do better about throughout that. Anything else you want to say, Greg? Any closing thoughts?
No. Sorry, just thinking about it.
He's a man.
I'd just be repeating stuff that's already been said. So
Okay, Andrew, we're going to turn it over to the winner today.
Thank you. I'm very proud of this. Not really. This was a crazy year that I hope to not repeat. But yeah, in total we spent $237K. The massive spend was our home improvement was $145,000, which is insane.
Tell the truth. It was really Starbucks. It was
Crystal and that
clothes.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, all those.
Is that a new shirt,
clothes.
Andrew? It looks pretty sharp.
It's a construction shirt, though. He wears it when he's surveying the progress.
The property.
He's
Right.
like, I needed new sunglasses to look at my yard.
Yeah, so the 145, the breakout on that is we had about 20K for our pipes, which we've talked about. We had not only to repipe the whole inside of the house, but we had to replace our main water line a few months ago as well. So call it $20,000 in pipes. And then we had to replace our deck, which is about $42,000. We are upgrading to a composite deck, so it's not a complete wash. I think it will definitely add a good amount of value to the house. So no maintenance on it. It's going to be a really nice deck, but yeah, that was unexpected.
Wait, how much was the deck specifically?
$42,000
Okay.
for the composite deck, and I was hoping that we were only going to have to replace, I knew we had to replace the boards, and even when we bought the house, I knew that some of the boards were going to have to be replaced, but unfortunately the main structure of the deck was rotting. It was just a regular wood deck, and so we are, we're putting in Trex that is supposed to last a really long time. So that is not all completely lost. I think that will add value to the house. So that's $42,000, and then the huge one is $83,000 on the landscaping, which included having to replace all of our retaining walls, along with the sinkhole in our backyard that had to get filled in. That was $20,000 alone just on the sinkhole, which was not expected. So yeah, it was a rough one, but again, on that $83,000 for the landscaping, probably I'd say half of it was value add. So we put in a new paver walkway on the side of the house. We put in a new paver fire pit as well, and so all of that adds value to the house. So I'd probably say half of the landscaping and the decking, so call it 60,000 plus, probably half of that 120K ish is some value add, whereas probably the other 60K of that is just necessity that we had to do. But we did make some upgrades in the process to try and add some value to the house. So I think we'll get some of that back when we sell it. But it's a painful outlay outside of the purchase of our two homes that we've owned, three homes that we've owned. This is the largest expense by far we've ever spent on anything.
Well, Andrew, on the plus side, this goes without saying if people know you, but I'll just say it for those who don't. You have saved and prepared for unexpected expenses like that. So as much as it doesn't feel good to spend your money on that, you're able to do it without going into debt.
Yes, I appreciate that. And once we realized how bad the problem was, we started saving throughout the end of last year. We started saving more money to pay for it.
You've been training for this like your whole life.
This is like my preparing finances, but it's a good reminder about how important an emergency fund is, and a lot of this stuff was unexpected, and insurance does not cover it, and so we're in a fortunate position where we can afford to do it. But these are big expenses.
So just like Liz said, you've been training for this, and you're like in first place. You're a champ, just like you train on your bicycle. You're a national champ cyclist in the masters category, whatever they call that.
Yep.
You're also a national champion in Inside Out Money. So you spent the most money in 2024. Congratulations. I wish I could have a ball standing on a podium for you.
I mean, I'm hoping for like a medal, a trophy, a jersey, an
Would
Inside
a
Out Money
Monarch
jersey
hoodie
to wear.
suffice?
You took the triple crown, I think.
Yeah.
I heard you, Erica. Yes, a Monarch hoodie will probably suffice, and it will be headed your way. It's going to be my size small, so good luck. But just kidding. No, I'm going to get you one in your size.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes, text me your sizes.
All right. So if we take that 145K out for the home improvement, we're at 91.5, and that we feel pretty good about that. The second biggest expense was sporting goods. I put all of my cycling stuff in sporting goods. I bought a new bike. I had a lot of tires that I purchased because I ride so much. So $12,000 of sporting goods, which is almost all of my biking stuff. So if you take out the new bike purchase, which I actually plan to sell one of my other bikes too, so I typically add that back in. That'll get added back in our 2025 budget. But we kind of hit that 80 to 85K range that we've been at for what I call our overall lifestyle spend. So after sporting goods at 12.5, the next biggest category was groceries at 12,000. We were within $50 of our grocery bill from last year, which I will call a win given how much groceries have increased. One caveat about our grocery spend is that I group all Target purchases in a Target bucket because I just can't deal with breaking I don't have a Greg with me to break everything out to every single line item. And so Target, we spent $4,000 at Target. There's probably $1,000 or $2,000 of groceries within that as well. So our grocery spend is probably closer to 14K if you were to add in what we buy at Target and Amazon, which we do just separate buckets for those two.
I have a question about your groceries. Did you feel like you noticed a difference? Because you also went plant-based last year, right?
Yeah, I would say that, I think that helped. I mean, we definitely spent a lot less on meat. I mean, I'm the only one in the household who's plant-based, but I'm consuming a massive amount of food, right? I'm consuming 6, 7, 8,000 calories a day. So my spend, I think, was I mean, if you were to analyze it, I think it was different because I was on a plant-based diet.
Your spend is so low, though. I'm just not like, if you're eating so much of that, I worry what Crystal and the kids are eating. You know?
I'm so hungry. Daddy ate all the food.
And to be clear, I do make all my own food. So, yeah.
You should do a cost per calorie.
I was
cost per calorie is pretty efficient, especially with all the bread that I make. And
we know he even makes his own like fuel, the cycling. He doesn't like buy those packets,
Yeah, I make my own.
Oh, that's
my
right.
own gels.
And your own like electrolyte drinks. None of this fancy pants liquid IV.
Yeah,
for Andrew.
That's right. The liquid IV. We've had that conversation before.
That's bougie.
Our kids love liquid IV. That's why
Oh my
we're
goodness!
I
Don't
do
even get me
too.
started on that.
But Andrew, did you recently upgrade your pasta sauce situation?
I did. I sent Liz a photo of it 2 nights ago. How do you pronounce it, Liz?
I think it's Rouse. I guess I don't usually say it out loud.
Yeah,
Rao's.
Rouse sauce was on sale at Costco. We'd never tried it, so I grabbed a 2-pack. I totally splurged on $12 sauce.
Was it worth it?
It's definitely good. Is it $12 good? Maybe, but
$12
I definitely got
for 2 big jars.
Yeah, $12 for 2 big jars, and the first thing out of Crystal's mouth when I came home, she's like, "Dude, you got the bougie pasta sauce."
We're influencing you slowly. But surely.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, that's Liz's influence." But yeah, it was good. So we'll see if if it makes it back into the rotation when it's not on sale. That's the true test. Am I willing to pay $15 or $16 for pasta sauce? Okay, next category, property taxes, $10K for property taxes. That's number 4. That's always a big expense. Child activities, $7K. About $5K of that is my kids swimming. And so they swim year round, both of them. So love seeing that category spend, always support their activities. And then travel vacation was $6K. That was up over previous years. We went to Universal twice. Splurged for the fast passes, and I like that spend. And then insurance has just gotten really high, so that's number 7, $5K for insurance. Then we get into Target at $4K, Amazon at $3.5K. I'll talk about Amazon a little bit. We tried canceling Prime at the beginning of the year. Needed to save my marriage and put Prime back in because Crystal needed some stuff, and like the things that she needs for like kids' activities or school projects, and she needs them here like that day or the next day. It's just ease of use, right? But I am trying to be more intentional about our Amazon spend, and it's definitely down from where it had been. So I just try to be cognizant of that. Okay, so then after Amazon, we got shopping at $2,500. That's just a catch-all for basically everything that's not grocery, Target, Amazon. All of Costco goes into groceries, so those are key expenses. And then, let's see, I'll just call out a couple other ones.
Can I call one out for you,
Yes.
Andrew?
Go ahead.
I'd like to jump down to line 18, your 18th largest category. Lawn and garden, $1,400. I'd like to applaud you for getting a lawn service, given
Thank
how
you.
much you work and cycle.
Yes, that was a great ad back after cutting my own lawn for a really long time. I started cutting my own lawn back when COVID hit. I was like, well, I'm home. I'm going to do it again. So I had a lawn service before COVID, started doing it myself again. And then this year I was like, I need to get back to doing a lawn service. So we pay $140 a month for that. And so that's fantastic.
And to be clear, I'm not knocking people who mow their own lawn and I'm big into DIY, but you have a very demanding job, 2 kids,
Yes.
almost a like professional cycling career.
Yeah, I'm breaking 20 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
So
And so like of all the things, like that's when it like makes
Yes.
sense for you to outsource some things for your quality of life.
And Maggie, I owe you for encouraging me to do that. So thank you. That was definitely money well spent.
You're welcome. I was just fishing for compliments over here.
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
All right, electronics and software was $2,500. We bought a new iPhone and 2 Apple Watches for Crystal and my daughter for tracking her swim laps. So that was higher than usual. And then staying on the food topic, outside of groceries, we don't eat out very much at all. So restaurants and bars, $1,600. Almost all of that is on vacation while we're traveling. So that is pretty low. And then
I noticed, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
under
go
that food category, your coffee shops went from 18 to 60. I think we talked about that last
Yes.
time. And it seems like
Yes.
you let Crystal go to
Let
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Crystal, because
Well,
Crystal can do whatever she
yes,
wants.
okay, rephrase that.
But yeah, the coffee spend was up 243% this year.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
so
And again, that feels like a good increase because it's still very reasonable for coffee shops.
yes. And shout out to Maggie for sending Crystal a Starbucks gift card for letting me do the podcast.
To be clear, I sent it to all the co-hosts, but on Andrew's, I was like, "This is for Crystal." Andrew, don't.
Crystal, yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't get anything.
Double
Crystal got it, which is how it should be.
Your
So-
restaurant and bar total is insane. That's like ours in
I
a
know.
month, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really low. Like I don't know how you're eating out on travel. I did more than that in 3 weeks in Australia.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I want to like follow you around sometime, like, and just see what's happening.
I can send you the details from our Monarch export, and you can see exactly where we're going.
What are you eating at Disney? I would spend that much in 1 week at Disney potentially. I mean, maybe not quite, but
Is it like, is it pretty privilege? Are you just like flirting with servers and they're giving you stuff for free? Or are you just like flexing? Are you bringing all your medals from all your cycling things and you're like, if you give me a free dessert, I'll shout you out on my Instagram.
Yeah, it was mostly just at Universal eating at Universal is very, quote, expensive, right? For what you're getting. You're spending $100, $150 a day just on relatively inexpensive food. And so just because they jack it up, but yeah, almost all of that was while we were
are
there.
you like packing snacks when you go out and about a lot?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, even just for when I'm like at volleyball tournaments and like not on vacation, it's
Yeah, we almost always do that when we're out and about. We're packing snacks. Yeah. Even and like part of that is just I prefer eating my own food.
yeah.
Especially on a plant-based diet, it's just more challenging. So yeah, we bring stuff with us a lot of times.
Are your kids getting to the point, like as they get older, where they want certain foods more often? Like, do they ask you to go to Crumble Cookie? Do they even know what Crumble Cookie is?
Yeah, no, we're not doing any crumble cookie. Yeah, Chick-fil-A is the one thing they will ask for.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for me. I was kind of like outside of the really crazy home improvement. It was a pretty standard year.
I mean, overall, I think that's a good spend for a family with kids. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you could argue that I need to loosen up a little bit.
But you're also like, you could loosen up, but you also have in some areas. And I think, I mean, to me, what I often think about is, do you and or your wife and your kids feel like you're sacrificing or depriving yourself of things that would make you happy on a day-to-day basis?
Now, if you ask my kids that, they may say something differently, but my kids are perfectly fine.
Yeah, their kids are always going to want
Yeah,
more than you.
they're always going to want more. No, I mean, maybe we could probably eat out more. So Crystal is not cooking as much. I think she would probably say that she would support that change. So
Oh,
that's
well, why
probably
don't we
something
make
we could work on.
some like goals to do that,
Yes,
Like
right.
once a week, once every 2
Yeah. Oh my
weeks,
gosh.
like make a goal of like you have to.
Go out. Yes.
Eventually, we're going to have an episode where we bring all of our partners on. So
Yeah.
Oh
landlord
yeah,
and Crystal
that's not
and my
that's never
partner.
happening.
No,
Crystal's
and,
not
like,
coming. No.
Why
Get the
can't we
real
get
scoop.
Crystal on here? Are you afraid of us or?
Well, Crystal doesn't listen to the podcast, first of all. So
Well, that's alarming. I
yes,
think she should.
I know. Yeah.
And
Crystal's brothers do listen to the podcast.
okay.
Shout out to
Okay.
Bill and Jesse. Yes, but
Hey, Bill and Jesse. Okay, well, we'll work on that. Future goals. Okay, last but not least,
certainly not
Welcome
least.
to the party.
welcome to the pod party, Erica. We saved the best for last.
Well, that's very kind. I'm truthfully having like high school flashbacks to being in that class. It's over my head and I'm just sitting quietly trying to just like get through it and hope that no one calls on me. Also recognizing I did the assignment wrong. But I'm glad that I'm going last because in listening to all of you guys, I just really don't think about expenses the same way. And so this is a good lesson for my first year of using Monarch and looking at the category breakdowns. And I'm actually going to go through my breakdowns and I'll be quick because I don't have them broken down in the same way you do. But when I was just playing with the different layouts that y'all were talking about, so obviously like mortgage is really high. And then if I just break it down to just the basic categories. So for us, if we just look at food and dining and you just look at the total amount, everything that's in there that like has, you know, whether it's a coffee shop, it's a grocery store, it's a restaurant, it's a bar, it's almost $28,000.
You must be. That sounds so great. Like, I'm not like, oh, that's so high. I'm like, that sounds so fun.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, what the hell are we spending our money on? But then I look through and it's bagels, coffee, beer.
Beer. I was going to say, I think you
Seafood.
guys drink.
Oh,
out
that's
more?
toothpaste. That's
Drink
toothpaste.
out more maybe than I do.
I think that's part of it is like we're very social. We go out to bars and restaurants with friends, and that's like a huge part of what we do. The landlord is very much a foodie, so when we go out, we're very rarely going to cheap eats. We're going to
Yeah.
kind of not always nicer restaurants, but like kind of like someone said earlier, just everything's that much more expensive these days. So where going out used to be like $50, now it's $100, and then yes,
Yeah.
we might drink out while we're there. I've started appreciating fine wines a little more. That has added to my budget a lot. The landlord built himself a kegerator. That's something we're trying to work on as an overall thing in 2025 in general. So looking at just like the breakdown of everything, it's like, all right, that's a large number. And so seeing it all together like that for me is like that's a number that needs to come down next year. One thing that I need to work on is learning how to cook so that I can help that come down. And I'm not just talking like Trader Joe's meals that are already like half prepared and all I have to do is open the bag. Although sometimes that's a bit of a challenge too.
That's legit.
But the landlord likes to cook.
Not as much anymore because the kids are just so picky that it's just, he's a really good cook. He used to love cooking and it's just something that his, like, hopefully he gets back into it. But yeah, it's like neither of us likes doing it. We're very basic with it now. He will do it because he has to.
This is also a thing where I think of like phase of life. You know, you guys both have very busy jobs. You have 2 young kids. You're in a phase of life when that's tough, you know, and I wouldn't be overly hard on yourself about it necessarily. But I do think your point of like, it's interesting to see it and now start to be much more cognizant of it. Because this is the first year in maybe forever that you've known exactly what you spent on those categories. Was the landlord surprised by that number?
He doesn't know. We haven't looked at this together yet. He probably won't be surprised. I mean, I think he's still keeping his spreadsheet tracker, even though we both have Monarch, but he can look at it. He shouldn't be surprised because we track our expenses very closely together. But like I said, when you look at it as one giant number, you're like, sweet Lord, this is obscene. Especially compared to Andrew's where he had like some saltine crackers out with his family one time.
I'm going to tell Crystal that one.
I mean, in 2025, saltine crackers out with your family is like $37.
So that was the big one. The next big one, which is $23,000-ish, is travel and lifestyle. Although the lifestyle is like New York Times, Netflix, movies, you know, so a lot of...
Probably mostly travel in that category.
Yeah,
and,
I
like,
think
a
it's
little bit of
mostly
lifestyle.
travel and like any sort of entertainment thing. Like
What did you guys do for travel?
last year, the landlord and I went to a trip in Paso Robles to go wine tasting with some friends. That added up. We also went to Maggie, where did I go? What was that country? Brazil. We went to Brazil.
Wow. I went to Brazil last year.
You did? When did you go?
On a
Were
work
you
trip,
at
unfortunately.
Christina and Daniel's wedding? Oh, no, not there.
definitely
Okay.
not.
Yeah, Brazil. Just different travel. Like I did travel. Maggie and I met in Virginia for a friend's wedding.
Best trip of the year.
Best trip of the year. I think I used miles for that and borrowed a friend's car. And then we stayed in an Airbnb. So that was actually relatively cheap. But like Brazil, we just, actually we used through my T-Mobile app. We booked our hotel. It was one of the hotels that was offered through the wedding, but through T-Mobile, they have like different deals. And we were able to get a cheaper rate than what the wedding group block offered through the T-Mobile app. So that was a little hack for us. Yeah, we did more. Yeah, we were in Florida for a long time, kind of blending all my travel together with like work travel too. But yeah, most of it was travel. And then some of it that's like carrying over expenses for 2024 for travel in 2025. And then also the boy one is going, and actually both boy ones, the landlord and our son are going to Japan next year for a school trip. So that price is adding up.
You have to pay for that this year. I see.
Is the landlord a chaperone on that
He's
trip?
a chaperone.
Okay, so we'll call him the chaperone for now on.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I like the landlord.
Yeah, the landlord. And then like shopping is a big one, but that's pretty vague. A lot of it's Amazon. And then gifts, bookstores, random crap. That's probably, since we've cut out Amazon, that's where I should just really be more mindful. And some of it's for kids. It's not just me. And then, yeah, child activities is about $14,000 for childcare, sports, camps.
Oof.
I guess that's where, is that where the Japan trip's in? Nope. Yeah, so that one adds up. I'm not going into as much detail as y'all said. And then health and wellness, our gym membership is pretty high, but that's okay. I feel okay with that one because we're
Like, how much is your gym membership?
$2,000 for the gym, a little over $2,000 for the gym. And then the rest is like medical bills. Like we both had the landlord almost had a surgery. I did have a surgery. So like all the medical bills to put into that, like added up, and then like chiropractics and things like that.
I feel like we all had expensive medical years except Andrew. I was looking at yours, Andrew, and your total, it was like $500.
It was like $100.
It was $104.
Greg and I were looking at it. I was like, what's going on with Andrew? Like,
$104.
you take your kid to the doctor? What's happening? Your kid's like...
Yeah, basically it's all just preventative. So we all just have our regular checkups. They're all covered. Same with the dentist. And I mean, I think there could be like a couple blood tests were not fully covered. Yeah, super cheap. Yeah, we're very fortunate to be
That is
Nice.
healthy.
Yeah.
I feel like even just the fact that that's what it was for 4 individual human bodies is a miracle. That like no one had a sprained ankle or a
colonoscopy.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I had the colonoscopy, but it was fully covered.
Man, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last big category that I'll talk about was our charity and nonprofit category, and that's like $7,600. And that one we feel okay with. We're good with that. Like we're consciously making those donations, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm not going into as much detail about the expenses as y'all did because, like I said, I did not do the assignment correctly. But this was, to me, this is just a really good intro for me into Monarch because I remember at last year's end of year 2023 into 2024 review, y'all were lamenting the loss of Mint, talking about whether you're going to use YNAB or Monarch. And then I was like, I want to join the Cool Kids Club and I'll join Monarch. And I have no regrets about it. It's been really great to track. I have not been following it closely. Although, did y'all notice that they have like new flex accounts where you can kind of like have some flexibility into like things that maybe aren't recurring expenses where you can kind of roll it over? I truthfully don't understand how budgeting works other than like, you don't have this money, don't spend it. The math behind it is just lost on me. This is not my area. So this is part of why this whole podcast and being part of this group is like a good positive challenge for me, even though I'm like, inwardly screaming and freaking out.
I think you like absolutely did the assignment though, in the sense that the assignment is just to like pull up what you spent, look at it and like reflect on it and think, am I feeling good about this? Or is this something maybe I want to change for next year?
Well, when you put it that simply, then yes, thank you, Liz. And yeah, there are a lot of things I want to change. So this will be This will be an interesting challenge. I mean, part of the thing too is like I'm looking at what we spent last year thinking like so much of that was unnecessary, and we know we have big expenses this year. We're getting our bathroom remodeled. The landlord is supposed to be building a deck, which for anyone who knows the landlord knows that this is a project that has been coming for 6 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, hasn't he been supposed to be building a deck for a while now?
Yeah, we're coming up on 6 years.
I had a friend tell me like, Andrew, why are you paying $40K for a deck when you can just do it yourself? I'm like, I know where my limits are. I know how to ride my bike. Well, I do not know how to build a deck.
Yeah.
So I am well aware of where my limits are.
So the landlord is figuring it out. He's built some things. I trust that he can do it. It's just that he hasn't done it. And it's become a point of contention for him. And even our kids are trolling him. I mean, even like my aunt and uncle came to visit and they hadn't been here since before COVID. And they were like, oh, weren't you building this before COVID? And he was like, oh, I got other stuff. My aunt was like, I was just asking a question. I didn't know. So he keeps saying it's going to happen in 2025. The irony is one of our big expenses for last year was the railing for the deck that's sitting in our garage. There was about $6,000 worth of railing. So he was supposed to build it last fall. So we'll see. We'll check in on that come, summer and see where that is. But yeah, we've got some big expenses next year. So this is really good for me to look at what we spent in 2024. And I say next year, meaning this year. And thinking of what I know we have coming up in 2025 and being more mindful in that.
Okay, 2 things. One, just as a refresher, when Erica says the landlord, she doesn't mean an actual
It's
landlord
her
who holds a
husband.
lease to.
Right. Yes, it's my husband. He's
How
a
she
lot of
affectionately
landlord.
refers to her husband.
That's a nickname. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And
nickname.
then-
He has a full-time job. Landlording is just his side hustle with no pay.
I'm like meaning fixing the things. Like a slumlord. No. Okay, my second question. Does he listen to the podcast?
I'll sway him away from this one. He goes through phases. Sometimes, sometimes he'll listen, but I think I'm safe on this one. This will probably be the one that like the kids will pull up in the car or something, and this shouldn't be a surprise to him. Like he knows.
So, Erica, I would just say congratulations on doing a year of tracking. And when you were joking about doing the assignment wrong, I mean, you did the hard work, which is tracking. You got to categorize things. And so that's great. And the fact that you have visibility into these things now is great. And congrats on that. And I think it'll be fun to see how, if it affects your spending next year. And, and I think, the other cool thing is you talked about how you like to eat out. And I think Liz has been great at talking about there are things that she intentionally spends on, and eating out may be that one that you guys intentionally do and you shouldn't cut back on, but maybe there's other categories of when I think you build the tracking to meet your needs. So if you say, gosh, but there is fast food stuff that and I'm making that up, I don't even know, but maybe that's the category you say, is that really adding value? We want to rein that in. But eating out with friends adds a tremendous value to our lives, and we don't want to touch that. So, it'll just be fun to kind of see what you do with the tracking over the next year and how you utilize it. But it's great work, and it's really cool that you've done this, and I'm glad that you're now a part of our expense summary group.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg. I know I always kind of felt like I was missing
You're not at
out
the
on
kids' table
something.
anymore, Erica.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I mean, we joke about who's in first, who's in last. I mean, it's all just in good fun. And there's no prize. There's no trophy for who spent the least on groceries or
won
who
this
spent
year.
the most on travel. I mean, except for the trophy that Andrew gets. It's very
know
shiny,
the
so
answer to
shiny. But it's just what Greg said. And I feel like it comes up in almost every single episode. It's not about how much you spend. It's spending intentionally. It's making those like values-based choices. And that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
All of us, everyone in the world, every day.
Well said.
Okay, I will close with one thing I forgot to say, and Erica said this earlier, and it reminded me. One of my big intentions for this year, and it's kind of related to the assignment, is we use Monarch and we track our spending, but we admittedly, I had no idea what we were on track to spend this year. I only knew the 6 month because we did an episode, and I only knew the full year a few days ago. And had I known and looked at where some things were throughout the year and done more frequent checks, I would have adjusted some things. And so one of my commitments in 2025 this year is to actually look at Monarch more. And now that I understand the reports, I've sort of delegated it to Greg, and he likes sort of like love hates doing it.
No, I do. And I had gotten behind. Even if Maggie was in there looking at the reports, they weren't accurate because I was getting behind. So that's, something I'm committed to also is keeping it up to date so we can use it to change our spending throughout the year as opposed to just waiting to the end of the year and saying, oh, okay.
Oh, shit. 130. How'd that happen? So, yeah, because there's some things I would have adjusted and some things I wouldn't have. So my point, Erica, is I think we're all on some level of a journey of like where we're at with this. And it ebbs and flows from year to year. Like there's years I've been on it. There's years that I don't even want to look at it. So, okay, well, we got through this. And anything people want to throw out before we wrap things up?
I'll just say that I hope this inspires other people to track their expenses and spend intentionally.
Yeah. Whether it's $100 a month eating out, or is that just eating out, Andrew? $100 a month eating out on average, or $800 a month eating? I don't know what it is.
To each her own.
Yeah. I'm being serious. Yeah. To each their own. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a fun one to go leave us a review on this, and in your review, tell us what you spent this year, or send us a text message and tell us what you spent this year. Or shoot us a message on Instagram, because it is fun to see what other people spend. It's just kind of interesting. Yeah. We appreciate you guys listening. We always enjoy when you choose to spend some time with us. Like we said, if you want to leave us a review, we have a fun goal to try to get to 200 reviews by our 100th episode. So help us do that. Go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, please, please, please.
You can also subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
And if you have thoughts or questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can leave a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370 or hit us up on Instagram.
Okay. Inside out, y'all.
Inside out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.